What happens if this changes everything? What if this moment becomes the beginning of something much bigger, a domino effect that shatters the entire landscape of the city? Guys, I do not think we are paying close enough attention to what comes next for Jack Brennan. Rumors have been swirling heavily in the community that the actor portraying Brennan might be leaving the show in the near future. While some fans might expect a quiet exit where he simply hops on a WSB jet and flies off to a remote European assignment, that is not how things work in this town. When a character with this much narrative weight leaves, they usually leave in a body bag. I am looking at the horizon, and I see a massive, violent storm brewing. We are not just looking at a simple departure. We are looking at a brutal murder mystery that will redefine the power dynamics of our favorite families. To understand where we are going, we have to take a quick look at the current board. Right now, Jack Brennan is playing a terrifying game of chess against multiple grandmasters, and he is doing it blindfolded. He has inserted himself into the most volatile storylines in town. He is stringing Nina Reeves along, promising her the world and a missing black box full of leverage against Drew Kane, all while sharing steamy, passionate moments with her. At the exact same time, he is trying to outmaneuver Valentine Cassadine, a man who has survived more assassination attempts than anyone else on the canvas. Meanwhile, the PCPD, led by a highly unstable Anna Devane, is breathing down his neck, and Sonny Corinthos is always waiting in the shadows to eliminate any WSB threat. But the most dangerous piece on the board right now is Willow Kane. She is backed into a terrifying corner. Drew Kane is regaining his mobility much faster than she anticipated. The blackmail material she desperately needs is missing, and she is relying entirely on Brennan to save her. The pieces are all in place, the tension is suffocating, and Brennan is standing right in the center of the crossfire. Let us explore the first future, the most straightforward path, where Brennan's past finally catches up with him through the established heavy hitters of Port Charles. If this scenario unfolds, who benefits and who is in danger? This could lead to Sonny Corinthos deciding that he has simply had enough of the WSB interference in his territory. Sonny has spent months dealing with rogue agents, federal conspiracies, and threats to his family. If Sonny orders a hit on Brennan, he eliminates a massive headache and reasserts his absolute dominance over the criminal underworld. However, Billy has coming up placed Sonny in unprecedented danger, potentially triggering a full-scale federal war that could drag his entire organization down. Alternatively, what happens next may be Anna Devane finally crossing the ultimate line. We know Anna is currently struggling with severe trauma and dangerous hallucinations of Peter August. Her grip on reality is slipping. If Brennan stands in her way of exposing the true depth of the WSB's corruption, or if a hallucination of Peter pushes her over the edge, Anna might decide that executing Brennan is the only way to protect the greater good. The bigger consequence may be Anna completely losing her soul, transforming from a hero of the law into a vigilante murderer. But we cannot ignore the people closest to Brennan right now. There is a chance that Nina Reeves or Drew Kane could be the ones to end his life in this first future scenario. Nina has a history of impulsive, dangerous actions when she feels betrayed. Just look at how she recently pushed Drew into the lake. If Nina discovers that Brennan has been using her, or that he never actually intended to help her and Willow, her heartbreak could instantly turn into a murderous rage. On the other hand, if Drew Kane regains enough strength and realizes that Brennan is the mastermind providing the leverage to keep him silenced, Drew could take preemptive action to eliminate the threat. If that happens, the story could be heading toward a massive, sprawling murder investigation that drags half the city into the interrogation room, leaving everyone vulnerable to their darkest secrets being exposed. Now, let us look at a second future, a completely different path that does not just offer a minor variation, but changes the entire board in ways we never imagined. What if the person who ends Jack Brennan's life is not a seasoned mob boss, a traumatized spy, or a betrayed lover? What if the killer is Willow Kane? Guys, Willow is descending into a psychological darkness that we have not seen since her days of fighting Nell Benson. She has already proven that she is willing to take extreme, potentially deadly action against Drew Kane to protect her secrets and maintain her perfect life. She is currently operating on Pure, unadulterated desperation. If you ask me, this is the most explosive direction the writers could possibly take. Imagine the scenario. Willow is waiting for Brennan to deliver the black box, the only thing that can keep Drew quiet. But what if she discovers that Brennan is double-crossing her? What if Brennan decides that the leverage is more valuable to his own WSB ambitions than it is to Willow? Or worse, what if Brennan secretly colludes with Drew, planning to sacrifice Willow to save his own skin? When a cornered animal feels threatened, it attacks. Willow will not wait to become a victim again. She will strike first. The story could be heading toward a chilling confrontation where Willow, realizing that Brennan is about to destroy her family and her freedom, grabs a weapon of opportunity and strikes him down. This would be a fundamental, irreversible shift in Willow's character trajectory. She would completely shed her sweet, innocent nurse persona and fully embrace the dark, manipulative legacy of her biological mother, Nina, and her ultimate nemesis, Nell. The psychological fallout of Willow becoming a murderer would be phenomenal to watch. She would have to stand over Brennan's lifeless body and make a choice. Confess and lose everything, or cover it up and become a monster. We all know she would choose the latter. She would meticulously clean the crime scene, dispose of the evidence, and return home to her children with a terrifyingly calm smile on her face. The bigger consequence may be the sheer irony of her situation. She spent years judging Nell Benson for being a ruthless sociopath, and now, to protect her own interests, Willow would have become exactly what she hated the most. She would transition from a desperate woman making mistakes into a cold-blooded, calculating killer. Let us dive into the third future, which is the absolute wild card. This is the possibility that very few people are considering, but it would be a stroke of absolute genius. What if Jack Brennan's death is not a murder at all, but a brilliantly orchestrated fake-out? Looking ahead, we have to remember that Brennan is a master manipulator, a former director of the WSB who knows exactly how to disappear without a trace. If the heat from Sunny, Anna, Valentine, and Willow becomes too intense, there is a chance that Brennan fakes his own gruesome demise to escape Port Charles. He could plant forensic evidence, stage a bloody crime scene, and vanish into the shadows, leaving the city to tear itself apart trying to solve a crime that never actually happened. If that happens, Brennan could frame one of his enemies for the murder. Imagine if he frames Willow Kane, turning the tables on her completely. Or perhaps he frames Valentine Cassadine, ensuring that his rival is locked away in Steinmauer forever. This path would leave a lingering ghost over Port Charles. The characters would constantly look over their shoulders, paranoid that Brennan is still out there, pulling the strings from afar. It would be the ultimate magic trick, leaving everyone in mortal danger without a single drop of his own blood actually being spilled. It allows the actor to leave the show while keeping the character's legacy alive as a looming, invisible threat that could return at any moment. Which path makes the most sense? If you ask me, the path that feels most likely, and the one that offers the most incredible narrative payoff, is the second future. I keep coming back to the idea that Willow Kane is the one who will put Jack Brennan in the ground. The writers have been meticulously building Willow's darker side for months. We have watched her transition step by step from a victim to a fierce protector, and now to a ruthless manipulator who is actively contemplating murder to keep Drew quiet. It makes perfect narrative sense for her to cross the ultimate line with Brennan. He is the weak link in her master plan, the one wild card she cannot control. The path that makes the most sense is one where Willow's desperation completely overrides her morality. She will see Brennan not as a person, but as an obstacle, a direct threat to her freedom, her marriage, and her children. And she will eliminate him. This is the payoff the entire storyline has been building toward. It provides the actress with incredible, Emmy-worthy material, shifting her from a sometimes frustrating protagonist into a complex, tragic villain. It is a bold, shocking move that would redefine the next 5 years of General Hospital. But we cannot just end with a body on the floor. If Willow Kane murders Jack Brennan, what comes next? The next shockwave will be the agonizing, terrifying cover-up. If that scenario happens, the story will immediately shift into a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Imagine Harrison Chase, a man who has fiercely defended Willow's innocence in the past, being assigned as the lead detective on Brennan's murder case. The tension would be unbearable. The bigger consequence may be Willow actively manipulating Chase's lingering affection and trust to throw him off the scent, planting false evidence to point the PCPD toward the WSB or Sonny Corinthos. And what happens when someone unexpected discovers the truth? What if Michael Corinthos finds out that his wife is a murderer? Would Michael, who has crossed many lines to protect his family, help Willow hide the body and cover up the crime, making him an accessory to murder? Or would this be the final straw that shatters their marriage forever? Furthermore, consider Nina Reeves. What happens next may be Nina discovering that her own biological daughter brutally murdered the man she was falling in love with. The emotional devastation would be catastrophic. Nina would be torn between turning her daughter in and protecting the child she spent her whole life searching for. Looking ahead, Willow would have to silence more and more people to keep her secret safe, digging her grave deeper with every lie. She would become the new big bad of Port Charles, a wolf in sheep's clothing hiding in plain sight at the Quartermain mansion. The story could be heading toward a tragic, Shakespearean downfall for both the Corinthos and Quartermain families, as Willow's web of lies eventually, inevitably unravels. The future of Port Charles is not just about who dies. It is about how the living survive the aftermath of the unimaginable. And guys, the aftermath of Willow Kane becoming a cold-blooded murderer will change this show forever. We are standing on the edge of a cliff, and the fall is going to be spectacular.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.